With AEW, the question is, how low can you go? And if this collision viewership number is accurate, then the answer to that is extremely low. And in fact, the lowest AEW has ever went. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. Now, normally the number for AEW Collision comes out on Monday. However, there is a number that is floating around the internet. There is a number that has been reported by multiple wrestling websites, including Ringside News. Now, we're not saying this number is true, but the number being reported right now is 67% down on last week's AEW Collision, and that number is a small, tiny fraction 122,000 viewers.
Holy frickin' moly, this would be explosive. I mean, this would be this would be TNA levels of ratings.
Pretty much,
yeah. I mean, this is total non-stop action, but I mean, come on. I refuse to believe it, right? I would have accepted it if it was down at like 250,000, 300,000, but 122?
Right, disclaimer, we're not saying this number is legit. We're not saying it's 100% accurate, but it is the number being reported. Everyone seems to be going with it. On one hand, it's believable because it's AEW. It was a shit show, and you expect AEW Collision on a Saturday night to do a low number. But on the other hand, the number is so low that I just cannot quite believe it. I think if it was 222,000, I'd be more willing to believe in this number. 122,000 though, that would be the lowest number Collision has done by far. If we look at the Collision numbers this year, you can see that the lowest to date so far is 300,000. So that is the lowest that they've done. And that was back in the last week of January. However, this Saturday, you did have a lot on. There was a very important playoff game in the basketball. That was on at the exact same time as the Saudi Arabia boxing event, 5-on-5, Matchroom versus Queensbury. And that was on at the exact same time as a big UFC event. I believe it was UFC 302, and it was headlined by Islam versus Dustin Poirier.
Dustin Rose. No, bloody Donald Trump was there as well.
And Donald Trump was there. So you have maybe not so much the boxing match, but I would say the UFC event, and definitely the playoffs. I think it was the basketball playoffs. That's two massive events that I would have to imagine people would prioritize over AEW Collision. But you have at least 3 sporting events there that are going to be watched more than Collision. So when you factor that in, I think it's very possible that this Collision on Saturday is going to be the lowest of the year. I think it will be the lowest Collision of the year. And to beat that number, you're looking at 300,000. It could easily go below 300,000, but I'm just not convinced that this number is true. 122. I mean, it could be due to the fact that, like I said, those events were on. But if it is 122k, then where does Tony K go from here?
Nice wee transition. I mean, 2 weeks ago they did 523. This would suggest that they've pretty much lost 400,000, and that's pretty much you've lost like 4/5 of your audience. That's an insane amount. I would honestly believe this more if they said that Collision did like 1.8 million. Somehow. I think it's easier to believe an outrageous number. I'm not quite believing this. If this has happened, this is meltdown mode. This is Shockaroony.
Like this is in the red territory.
It's in the red, and here it's
panic stations.
I mean, what you could compare it to is when SmackDown went on Fox Sports 2 and it did like 278,000. But I think that's a wee bit different since it is like a proper change of the channel. But no, this is bad, man. This is TNA levels.
But to be fair, it was a very bad card.
Maybe Tony Khan now. And I believe, I mean, I did say it was taped. I don't know if I can get confirmation of that, but let's say it was taped. That's another thing that doesn't bode well for it. A taped show going up against two things that people just care a lot more about, and it's also a shit card. That is like the worst combo you can get.
Yeah, so, look, any more news? We will obviously find out the real number tomorrow.
Maybe Tony Khan's face was him checking how many people was tuning in. It wasn't Roderick Strong asking for a title shot.
Yeah,
That makes more sense.
I mean, this could be the real number, but it is quite possible that it is fake. It could just be a number that is being rumoured to try and, like, I don't know, spread the demise of AEW. I mean, AEW is not in a great place right now, though. I don't think they really need people going around lying about numbers. The numbers are pretty poor as they are, but I mean, when you factor in what was on, and you factor in it wasn't a good show, and you factor in it is on a Saturday night, it could be true, but holy shit, if it is true, then they are fucked. Now, Rampage did 222k last week.
Yeah, so no, see for me,
Is it but then again, you got to factor in when you're losing 100k of 222,000. You know, that's almost half the audience. See, when Raw loses 100k or SmackDown loses, you've got a lot more people watching, so it's easier to lose 100k. When the numbers is low, it is hard to lose that amount of people.
no, of course it is, and we've said it since day one. You can't put a wrestling show on a Saturday. You can't, not a weekly show.
Yeah, even if you're lucky, right, and you get nothing really opposing it on that Saturday, the chances of getting like a big audience on a Saturday night to sit in and watch wrestling, especially a show that isn't good, is unlikely. But then you factor in that on Saturday, that's when you do get sporting events, and if you have a UFC card on, if you have like a boxing event on, if you have a big important game on in a real sport such as basketball or hockey or something baseball, whatever, then you are in trouble. And that could be what happened here with AEW Collision. But we'll find more about this number tomorrow. I mean, if it's true, then I don't know what Tony Khan does for here. And he's complaining about the offers being made by Warner Brothers because they're trying to sign a new deal. All these people say that ratings don't matter. I mean, ratings do matter. This is why Tony Khan's he feels like he's been lowballed. This is why he's finding it hard to get a deal that he finds good, because when you're just getting low numbers, the money you're being offered is obviously going to go down. So ratings do matter, and this is a fucking terrible one. So hopefully for Tony Khan's sake it's not true.
Yeah, hopefully for his sake it's not true, but for our sake, I like the meltdown. I welcome the chase. I welcome the meltdown.
If you had to guess a number, what would you guess? Do you think this is the official number, or not?
I mean, it would be it would be 300 and what?
It would be 297 down on last week's.
That's an incredible amount. No, 293.
299.
I mean, no, I would be shocked, man. Like I said, I would believe it more if it was up like 1.5 million. No, I'll be shocked. There'll be big changes. Tony Khan's Twitter account will fucking blow up. His head will blow up. Were you supplier on it?
Were you excited for Osprey versus what's his name?
Roddy?
Nah, it wasn't him. Kyle O'Reilly.
No, I wasn't.
Well, there you go. Maybe only 122k. Maybe only 122,000 people there.
yeah. I'm looking forward to the quarterlies.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, we'll find it tomorrow. We'll find out more. Is this number true? True or false? We'll find out in less than 24 hours. Till next time. Peace.